I'm very pleased to welcome Javier Goyeneche from Ecoalf, which is an impressive fashion brand, totally dedicated to sustainability. And I let you, Javier, introduce yourself and the idea about Ecoalf and how you started.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I started in 2009. Basically, I wanted to create like a truly sustainable fashion brand. And I believe the most sustainable thing to do was to stop using natural resources. So recycling could be a solution. If we're able to make like this new generation of recycled products with the same quality and design as the best non-recycled. The problem when I went to the market in 2009, there were no cool recycled fabrics. So it took me 3 years to launch the brand until 2013, because I had to start making joint ventures around the world to develop those fabrics and recycle from many different materials.
So you said that one of your main challenges was the fact that ecological products were really not, like you just said, experienced and also quite expensive. I mean, a lot of people perceive that if it's sustainable, ecological, it could be very expensive. And how have you worked towards that challenge to make it still affordable in in the market?
Well, I think that's one of the challenges. No, unfortunately, it's true that sustainable products seem to be more expensive. No, like electrical car is more expensive, organic food is more expensive. So everything you do also in fashion with the yarns or the process, it's more expensive. I think it's more expensive also because there hasn't been volume. No? So at the end, I always say the same thing, that companies like Ecoalf, we can make noise, we can show that it's possible, but the big change has to come from the big groups. Those are the guys who have the resources, the teams, the money, and the volume to really make those changes. No, so it's true. When I started making the sneakers, in 2012, and I needed the laces to be recycled, the manufacturer said, "But how many can you buy?" I said, "Well, 500 per color." I said, "Javier, but it's a nightmare for me to do 500 per color." And imagine if all the sneaker companies were buying those sneakers made from recycled polyester, then the price of lace will go down drastically. No? So I think it's also about volume. No? But how did we manage? I didn't want to have an expensive brand, so we managed by having what I believe we started with 15 points less margin than it would be for a healthy fashion company. Mm-hmm. So luckily for me, I had investors which supported me with that. And over the last years, as the company has been growing quite successfully, we have been able to recover most of that margin, thanks to the volume. Mm-hmm. But we had to start very tight.
Well, I guess there's always a way when you have a passion to realize or to create something.
Exactly.
And can you walk us through the production process? I mean, how is the production process? How do you recycle, and what kind of fabrics or materials where do you resource them, and how do you then produce, translate them into the collection that you have today?
Well, we recycle a lot of different ways. So we recycle plastic bottles, we recycle discarded fishing nets, we recycle the used coffee grounds, we recycle the leftovers of the cotton and of the wool. And so we recycle a lot of different materials. For us, it's complicated in the way that we don't move the waste around. So that was something that Ecoalf had very in mind. So we recycle the cotton in Portugal, we make the final t-shirt in Portugal. If we recycle the used tires in Spain, then we make the final flip-flop in Spain. We never move that waste around. So that obliges us to, because waste is everywhere. So the waste is not the problem, unfortunately. What you need to find is the technology to transform that waste into what you want in the same country. That's what we do. No? So now, for example, probably our most ambitious project, which is Upcycling the Oceans, which is a project that started in 2014, where we convinced 3 fishermen from a little port in Spain to let us put a little container in their boats, and the waste that get caught in the nets mixed with the fish when they pull up the nets, instead of throwing it back to the ocean, take it to the port. It's been a complicated project. We started with 3 fishermen, now it's over 3,500. We've taken more than 800 tons out of the ocean. We're replicating in all the Mediterranean now. And the biggest challenge has been, okay, how do we collect all that waste and how do we transform all that waste into an amazing polymer? When we started the first season, we made a filament which was 100% recycled, but only 5% of the content came from the ocean. 95% was from land. So it was 100% recycled, but small percentage from ocean. This last season, already 42% of that filament is coming from the ocean. So it's good. I mean, we're improving season by season. And of course, technology is helping us a lot to make everything always better polymer and better yarn.
Yeah, I read about that project, which is very interesting. And you have like gone really to different countries. I saw you are in Italy, and not only in Spain, but also in Greece. Is that what made you do this? Because
well, once, I mean, in Spain, we're working already in 46 ports. So we work with 80% of the trawling fleet. And at the end, we said, okay, that's the Ecoalf Foundation. So basically, I spend 25% of my time in the foundation, 35% in the company. And the foundation is about upcycling the ocean. So we're very concerned with that. So we said, okay, now why don't we expand this to all the Mediterranean? So that's why we signed the 6 first ports in Greece. We signed in Italy now, in Civitavecchia. We're about to sign those in France. Our goal is to have around 15,000 fishermen working by 2025 in over 100 ports in the Mediterranean. But to be honest, right now it's challenging because, I mean, fishermen, you don't convince them by email. They don't have email.
Yeah.
They don't answer the phone. They don't speak languages. So it's very personal. You have to travel. You have to meet them. I mean, when I started in Spain, I spent 1.5 years going every Thursday to a different port, waiting for the fishermen to come, inviting them to a beer in the bar, and explaining them the project. And that's how we went 3, 20, 50, 70, 100, 300. So it's very personal. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, it's so tough to travel that it's taken us a lot of time. But even in Italy, it's taking us 13 months to get the permits to install the containers in the port. So then you have all the administrative problems, governments. It's complicated. Always the first one is complicated, then luckily it will go much faster, hopefully.
Well, it's an amazing cause and effect you have. You know, at least if every company would do this, the world would look very different in terms of
Thank you very much.
on the ocean fill. Well, sustainability is being picked up by quite some fashion brands today. You know, everybody is like trying to use recycled organic materials, at least, you know, in their expression of talking about it. Well, how do you distinguish yourself, would you say, in your philosophy compared to like everybody being now interested, you know, interested and being accountable is a difference. So what would be?
Well, I think I always say the same, that for me, it's fantastic that more and more companies get into sustainability. You know, I think we need, I mean, the planet's shaking and we need to act quick. And the more companies that move, the quicker. And the more we collaborate between us, the better. So I think it's fantastic that many companies can. I think the main difference is that probably we were born with that philosophy. So we're not a capsule sustainable collection inside a big company. For us, it's our philosophy. So it has no sense to do something which we believe is not sustainable. Also, I always say the same thing, that at the end, being sustainable is not only using sustainable fabrics. It's much more. I think it's the business model behind your company. So that's why we don't believe in overproduction, which makes us lose a lot of sales because we don't have stock for our wholesalers so that they can repeat during the season. We produce what we sell to them, no more. We don't do promotions. We don't do Black Friday because we believe that's creating a lot of waste into the world. It's billions of garments going to landfill because they're manufactured just for these promotions, which is terrible. So you have to take many decisions in your business model, which I think makes you more sustainable. Just using a sustainable, I always say when I have panels and I have somebody from these big fast fashion groups, we want to use recycled fabrics. I always say the same, but you guys, it's not enough. You have to revise your business model because your business model is based on buying, throwing, a new trend every Thursday, promotion, Black Friday. You guys, your problem is that your model is not sustainable. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what material you use. What you have to change is your business model because you're creating huge amount of waste and which is going to landfills. Look, the other day, it was published, the biggest cotton company in the world burning 4,000 acres of forest in Ethiopia to plant cotton. We're crazy because we're burning the forest to create cotton, to make t-shirts for €4, which in 75% of those t-shirts are going to finish in landfill in less than 2 years. It's ridiculous. First of all, because each of these t-shirts use 2,000 liters of water. So we're going to be 2 more billion people by 2050. There's not going to be enough space to plant cotton, not enough water, and definitely not enough landfills. So we need to change the model. I think that's the biggest issue.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we work very much in sustainable materials in architecture and design, and we always look at companies who also the process of producing the material could have a lot of CO2 emissions. So we are looking at always how is it produced and even how is it going to be delivered. Like you say, the locality and all of that plays an important role. Do you think that governments should do something to support, I mean, do you get support, for example, from the Spanish government? Do they do anything to help companies who are really doing something, not just for yourself, but like for example, your ocean project?
General. Absolutely. No, I think that we all have to do something. I think consumers have a lot of strength. I think the way they support certain companies is a way to show a trend. So that's going to apply other companies to make movement. I think then the companies, we have to make strong decisions and we have to get out of our comfort zone and take decisions which perhaps are not profitable in the short term, but they're going to be in the medium and long. But that, God, it's easy for me to say because I was born with that philosophy. I understand that for many CEOs, their shareholders don't let them take those decisions. No, I mean, even their bonus and their job is related to the profit of that semester. So it's not that easy. So that's why I think it's going slower. And then I think the governments, they have to start legislating. I think they're very slow. They're very slow. I think the measures they're taking are way too weak. Yes. So I think but I think one of the biggest problems right now in the world, if you ask me, is the quality of our leaders. So I think the first thing we should change is the leaders we have.
It's very true, very true. Absolutely. No, I think
at least the ones in Spain, we need to change them quick.
Yeah, no, there are very few ones that are exceptional. You can pick them up. Do you see a change in the consumer and, especially in your fashion brand, do you think they're expecting more sustainability when they buy fashion? Do you think there is a shift from understanding if you have 100% cotton material, it really is not very good for the environment? Do you see any changes? And do you also see something changed after COVID, that there's maybe more awareness about our environment?
I think things are changing. I think they're changing. We see, when we started in 2010, people even didn't understand why. I remember buyers of big department stores telling me, but why would anybody buy something recycled, Javier, when they can buy it new? And I said, well, because we need to create circular economy, because the world cannot live at this pace. No, we need to change the model. And that luckily has changed. You see even luxury brands nowadays using recycled fabrics. So I think that's moving. I think there's a lot of consumers which want to be sustainable, but at the same time, some of them, they want to keep on paying €4 for the same sustainable t-shirt. So, and that's something I discuss a lot with young people when I go to universities, and we have these young people, very activist, and they want to go on Fridays to protest, but at the same time, they want to keep on buying 20 t-shirts per year in Zara. I say, well, this is not possible. You have to decide. So what do we do? And I say, but buy less. You don't need 20 t-shirts. So buy less and buy better and choose what you buy. And that's, I think, so we need to change. A lot of people want to be sustainable, but they don't want to change their attitudes. And that's not possible. We have to start making little decisions, all of us. No?
Yes, I agree. I think it's, you cannot, you have to live it. It's very easy to talk about it and have ideas about it. But the fact is what you choose at the end. And if it's, I think our society is still too much driven by price and quantity, like you said. At the end, it's the same. You spend the same money, but you have less things. But you have you're not
better things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think quality is one of the biggest symbols of sustainability, in my opinion, because it's a sign of durability. No, and at the end, I always say that the most sustainable product is the one. It came from your grandmother, no? Because at the end, it's passed to your grandmother, to your mother, to your mother, to the daughter. Those are amazing products, no? Because at the end, the life cycle of those products is huge. No?
Yeah, I totally agree. Absolutely. I mean, this is what we do in architecture and design in general, to look for products that last and that are not harmful. Do you sometimes also look into materials that come from architecture and design? I mean, fabrics can be coming, for furniture, for fashion. There's a lot of kind of connection these days. Is that
we are launching a project which we have been working for the last year, which I'm very fond of, which is with a furniture company in Spain called Bicarbe. And we're launching now like the first line. And it's amazing because there's chairs doing with the plastic from the ocean, but there's also we're doing a line of sofas, which I think look amazing. But we have been working, it's a project where, of course, all the fabrics, everything, it's sustainable and recycled, but it's been designed so that at the end of the life cycle of that sofa, it's 4 pieces, very easy to recycle again. And in the next generation, we're working now with, for me, the guy who has more knowledge about recycling I've met in my life, who's just starting a factory to recycle the old mattresses from the people in Spain. There's over 1 million mattresses going to landfill every year. And some of them are huge quality, the interior. And so we're taking that to create the inside of the sofas. Everything made in Valencia, in less than 60 kilometers, the factory to recycle that all mattresses and the factory of the sofas. And we were supposed to launch it in Salone Mobile, now in Milan in March, but you will know that it's been postponed to September. So yeah, that's where we will launch.
Oh, that's very
I will send it to you when we have it.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting because, we are working also with a Spanish company, Nagami, who is doing 3D printing out of recycled water bottles. And they are also outside Madrid. I should connect.
Okay.
They only use recycled water bottles to produce any kind of furniture that, and we're working on a collection. But I think that's very interesting. Well, my last question would be, what is the impact you like to have? I mean, we can already see that you have already an impact, but what is it like, the impact on design, on the environment, on, that you want to have with your company?
To be honest, I would love to have impact in the new generation. I think I always tend to think that we spend a lot of time thinking about what planet we're going to leave to our kids, and we should be much more worried with what kind of kids are we going to leave to the planet. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time going to schools and with the new generation, because I think we need, if the new generation really looks after the planet, then there's nothing to worry. So we need to spend a lot of time, and I think that would be fantastic if I can help that new generation be more aware of what's going on.
Well, I totally agree. That's the most important. And that's why in what I explained to you a bit earlier, in my Kidsy playground concept, which I designed as a furniture line for hotels and other places, other public places, part of it is to teach life skills, and sustainability is one of them. The earlier you start to make children aware, the more impact you will have on the environment at the end.
And they learn very quickly. It's amazing. They learn very quickly, and they understand everything very quickly. Yeah,
and they retain the information also much better, as the younger they are. And I think they're realizing. I mean, I've come across a few very interesting designers who are now like very young, just graduates, and they're all very concerned about the environment and trying to make changes. Well, thank you so much for the interview. It was wonderful to hear.
Pleasure.
The company, and hopefully we can even do something, maybe in some way or the other in the future together.
Well, I would love to do. Really open to collaborate. I love what you do. So all the projects you're doing. So absolutely open to collaborate.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Javier and his amazing company, Ecoalf. Please do share it and feel free to leave comments.